Hello and welcome to another episode of CRP Newsroom. My host Calculus and I sure do have quite the episode lined up for you.
Well, as always, it's been an interesting couple of weeks in CRP, so without further conversation, let's get on with the happenings of the last 4 weeks. On the 26th of January, Air Alps sadly announced that it was shutting down, and Lightning Airways ordered a large order for many aircraft. A day later, on the 27th, the CEO of Lightning Airways, Beam, was caught in the middle of what he called a scandal because many were calling Lightning Airways unrealistic for the previous day's order. On the 29th, there was controversy in the ICAO as Polar's campaign stopped due to his controversial views on KSTH. 2 days later, on the 31st, Air Canada announces an incredible achievement with over 200 flights logged in the month of January. 2 days afterwards, on the 2nd of February, Beam allegedly flew for 25 hours from New York to Singapore in a 747. On the 4th of January, Calculus was named as the next Secretary General of the ICAO, and Turkish Airlines announced an administrative shuffle and added a service to Paris Charles de Gaulle. On the 5th, Indigo Airlines announced a CEO election after their previous CEO, Air 1912, had not yet returned. On the 6th of February, Air Alps announced that it should be making its final flight on the 16th. Beam also made yet another airline, Clear Blue. Shortly afterwards, on the 8th, Lightning Airways opened a new hub in Tokyo Narita, and Stratus Airways made a demonstration of IFE screens in an add-on. On the 9th of February, Delta 13 announced that he will start working on Emirates as an airline under Colletis Group. That same day, Iberia inaugurates a cancer livery on their A320neo, honouring those with cancer. On the 11th, Pacific Airlines signed an agreement for up to 10 overtures with roleplay Boom Supersonic. There are speculations that they will be roleplayed using the Concorde. Also on this day, TSM finally makes a return to Hanair, publishing their 777-300 freighter livery. On the 12th, a new airline reaches 100 members, Air Siberia, and our very host QFA was forced to drive from Warsaw to Moscow in the Citroën 2CV Enduro FS. This is because, essentially, we lost a bet. Many events happened on the 15th of February. Turkish Airlines inaugurated the 737-800 and introduced supersonic operations. Lightning Airways purchased 757s. Perhaps most exciting, IC makes Air Alps' management bot, Matterhorn 9, open source on GitHub. This is exciting to many newer airlines. Air Siberia inaugurates its 100 members livery on the A380, and Hanair, the next day, inaugurates its A321 and A320 liveries. Continuing the trend, Royal Japan Airlines inaugurated new liveries for its 777 and A321, and also added the L1011 TriStar to its fleet. That same day, Lightning Airways announced its purchase of 5 A321s, and finally, on the 16th, sadly, Air Alps flew its final flight, Air Alps Flight 999. The next day, on the 17th, Royal Japan Airlines and Turkish Airlines both announced operations with the Concorde supersonically. Coincidence? I think not. Indigo Airlines also announced its new CEO, GFS2, after a very inactive election campaign. On the 18th, Calculus resigned as Secretary General of the ICAO, and that one Air Force dude became the new Secretary General. On the 19th, Turkish Airlines announced many new routes, domestically mainly. And finally, on the 20th, Air Canada announced its Sky Serenity program to help people who had a fear of flying. Now I'm sure that you're already bored of my voice, so I'll hand over to QFA.
Thank you, Cal, for that detailed report on the news. Now our story of the episode is the sad news that Air Alps is shutting down. Air Alps for 4 years has grown to be one of the biggest and most well-known airlines in GCRP and all of CRP in general, rising to over 230 members, completing 1,000 flights, flying 1.5 million kilometers and registering over 50 pilots is no small feat indeed. So what really made Air Alps the airline it became? IC, the owner, really innovated in the bot systems for the airline with the Matterhorn bot. IC created it before bots were more mainstream for airlines, and even now it is a standout feature. Air Alps is special in the way that it has a cross-platform experience like no other, as they have special alternative fleets and liveries for GFS and MSFS. However, with the exit of Air Alps, this now means the Diamond Lounge in GCRP is somewhat depleted, as Air Alps for so long has been positioned there and has served as a role model to other airlines. It is almost passing the baton over to Air Canada as GCRP's new role model and subjectively the best airline within the organisation. As a result of this news, many people have been completing their final flights for the airline in tribute to its legacy.
On this topic, I think it is a great time to discuss what role these role model airlines play in the next generation of CRPs. These airlines are a primary source of people joining the GCRP server, as on GFS, on the wiki, or wherever. New people are very likely to join these well-established airlines. And after a while, they might want something new, or want to make their own airline. So what is happening here is the big airlines are literally recruiting and inspiring new CRPers, which I think is such an important and interesting effect of these VAs. So that they are not just here because they are, but they serve a genuine purpose to feeding the community. Therefore, having such a prominent part of the community lost could have much more impact on the community than what meets the eye. This feature, our first feature, is about myself and Cal. We both thought it would be cool to share our different stories in CRP up to this point. My first involvement in GFS was as an ATC at YSCB, NZAA and YPAD, which I saw CRP as having a great time in chat. I ended up joining Lightning Airways in April 2024. This did not last long, however, as I soon started my own airline, Lufthansa. At Lufthansa, with people I met at LGT, we formed a relatively good airline, as well as making some really good mates. I met Cal first through Hun Air, which is owned by my in real life friend TSM, and eventually he joined the Air Siberia staff team, and the rest is history. But you might be wondering how on earth Lufthansa became Air Siberia. After that, Lufthansa wasn't very active, and as a result of it being modelled after the IRL airline, I had no freedom to do anything with it. Upon this realization, I created Air Siberia, which I quickly merged into Lufthansa, and instantly became much more successful to the point where we are over 100 members and average over 70 flights a month.
Having been an air traffic controller on GFS chat for a long time and doing flights as a few long before that, I met a handful of CRPers, probably unconsciously including QFO. At the beginning of August 2024, I was introduced to Hana, my first virtual airline. It was from here that most CRPers develop, joining GCRP and the ICAO about a week later. Throughout August, I flew extensively for Hana before a little known fact about me. I founded a small airline named Benelux Airlines. However, after deciding that being a CEO of an airline was too hard to juggle with the other commitments I had, and combined with the decline of Hana, I began flying for Air Siberia in October, where I really got to know QFA. These days, you can probably find me ever so often flying long hauls in QFS.
Now, it's hard to find something that we aren't working together on. Whether it be the show, Air Siberia, or ICAO, we are there. And I think what has happened with us is a showcase of what great mates you can make in this community. And this is exactly the experience that GSRP is here for. It furthers relationships and makes new ones, connecting you to people across the world in a way that is unique to the quirkiness of GFS. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this episode.
Join us in the next episode for the latest GFS and CRP news and our exclusive features. Thanks for listening.